Director Na Hong-jin won the Action Cinema Award at the New York Asian Film Festival for his latest film, Hope. While domestically, the film is continuing the fastest box office momentum of the year. Today, we'll take an in-depth look at the sci-fi action thriller and also discuss the outlook for the Korean film industry in the second half of the year. And we're going to do that with Jae Soh, filmmaker and professor at Seoul Institute of the Arts. So welcome back, Professor Soh.
Hello, Professor.
Nice to be back.
All right, so let's talk about Hope. So you watched the movie, and that means we are one of the 2.64 million audiences that did so, and that's just a little over a week after its release. There were some divided opinions regarding it. So what did you think of the film, and what did you think of the mixed responses?
I actually watched it on opening night in a packed movie theater. So my initial reaction was exhilaration and then confusion, followed by. But I felt like the movie was more like an amusement park, like a roller coaster ride, because I think the best part of the movie is the first hour, where we have a fantastic cast of Hwang Jung-min, who plays a police chief in a sleepy town, a fishing town called Hope. And you know, there are a series of like animal mutilations and murders, and so he's investigating that with his sidekick, Jung Ho-yeon from Squid Game, and then Jo In-sung, who plays his cousin Hunter in the movie. But I think what's really interesting is, you know, you could see the creature in the trailer right now, but in the movie, it's about an hour into the movie when they first show you the creature, and I remember the audience was screaming at that point. So it's something like you know, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Wailing, which the director Na Hong-jin did before this movie. It was 10 years ago, but you know, he didn't fail to sort of live up to his reputation of always sort of subverting the story a little bit from expectation. So I think, as you said, some people love it. It's kind of a weird story because it doesn't really follow the natural sort of genre-istic things about sci-fi or creature movies, but definitely is kind of a new kind of movie, and globally right now with a reaction from Cannes and things like that, you know, people seem to be really embracing it.
Right, and I have to mention, maybe I'm going to watch it again because for me, I liked the second half of it actually better than the first half, and maybe it changes after we watch it one more time because I was a little confused as well right after watching it.
Right.
Aside from the confusion, it has been the most anticipated K film of the second half of this year. What do you think really built that anticipation up for the audiences?
Well, I think a couple of you know, reasons. One is it's been 10 years since Na Hong-jin's Wailing, so people are kind of expecting his next movie, what that's about. And then just the sheer size and scope of the movie. It's the biggest Korean, you know, budget movie. I think it's around over 50 billion won, which is around $35 million. So it's a movie that's like really geared towards like a global audience more than just domestic. And I think the other sort of thing about it was the fact that it had an international cast, Michael Fassbender, Alicia Vikander, and then the reaction from Cannes. So all these kind of elements kind of came together with the help of social media. And I think the anticipation for the movie was really great. I just remember watching YouTube videos of people just talking about the trailer.
Right. And Professor Soh, Hope is a science fiction action film that is set in a Korean fishing village in the 1970s or 80s. So, but we have that gigantic creature appearing there. So we've got on the one side the familiar Korean scenery, and then on the other side the Hollywood-style spectacle. What did you make of this?
Well, that's actually its charm. The fact that it's got this kind of, you know, high like feel of like a big budget movie, but it's set in a very sleepy Korean town, you know, near the North Korean border, and I think it's a very textured looking town, you know, like the movie's set, you know, I think in the 70s or the 80s. It was before, you know, like, you know, mobile phones. It doesn't really appear in the movie. So it's sort of like old Korea, but with this kind of like high-tech sort of thing happening with a sci-fi element in it. That's the contrast that really sort of did it. And I think, you know, there's a word I used to like, you know, back in the day. It's called creature feature. It was actually a thing that they would create this like monster that would everybody would be scared to watch, especially in the summer when it's kind of hot. So kind of the fear factor gets your sweat going and you feel cooler. So these elements like are really cool. But as you mentioned, the CG, it's a big scale movie. So, you know, if you're expecting a real photorealistic kind of CG element of VFX from Hollywood, you might be a little disappointed. because this has a different feel. I think it's an intentional thing because some of the creature things are a lot of times it doesn't really hold up to what Hollywood's doing, but I think it was an intentional aesthetic choice to do it, to make it, I think, more than just the texture of the creature itself, but the movement and the jerkiness of the thing. I just remember thinking, I haven't seen anything like this in CG for a long time.
But saying that, you know, K-films are getting more global attention and therefore there are many international investors now investing in K-films. And I guess, given the budget that it was given, it wasn't just made for our domestic audiences, given also the international actors as well. It was obviously targeted on, you know, an international scale. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, director. Like, professor, sorry. Sci-fi really hasn't been Korea's greatest or strongest genre when it comes to films. But does Hope give some hope to, I guess, the sci-fi genre film now, do you think?
You're right. Korean sci-fi movies haven't been, I think, you know, maybe zombie movies are more famous in Korea, or crime movies. But I think Hope does give you hope about sort of sci-fi, but I don't really think it's kind of a hybrid movie between sci-fi and, you know, like I think you can think back to The Host, where there's a monster that comes out in that as well. So I think the way I define sci-fi isn't about technology. It's about sort of like a new world that we haven't seen yet, that you can kind of pretend in this kind of fictional world. And I think it definitely kind of establishes that. So it's a movie that I think globally it'll work because if you've already seen the movie, I'm not going to give spoilers, but basically it's about mystery, it's scary. It doesn't need a lot of explanation with reading subtitles. You're just kind of watching it like unfold in front of you. You're just watching this creature. People are chasing it. They're being chased by it. It's very simplistic in that way. And I think it goes back to maybe the silent era of filmmaking, which was really about like Keystone cops and criminals chasing each other. So it's got all these elements that kind of work. And I think the fact that it's got a sci-fi feel to it is more, I think, a style than the genre itself. And I think it's Na Hong-jin really sort of, again, subverting a lot of the familiar tropes that you see in a lot of these kind of movies. And I think, you know, I saw Rotten Tomatoes, it's like at 79%, which is pretty high score for a, you know, like a creature movie. And a lot of critics are just praising this movie because they think it's so different, you know, and it is.
Now, while the production budget for Hope exceeded 50 billion won, now we've also got mid-budget films such as The Eyes or 눈동자. They have also been performing steadily well at the box office. So let's shift to that one now, and also the general Korean film industry. Is it bouncing back?
Yeah, I mean, maybe The Eyes and Hope is sort of the signal for that happening. I went to see The Eyes as well, and I was really looking forward to it because it's a remake of a Spanish film, 2010, called Julia's Eyes, which I'm a big fan of. It didn't really live up to that original, but I think what worked about it was initially, you know, the movie didn't do that well. There were some bad sort of criticisms about it, but slowly with the word of mouth through social media, it started to build up. I think today it's at 1.47 million box office, you know, viewers that went to see it. So it's steadily building. And when I see it in the theaters, people are really scared of this movie. And again, Shin Mina is not really known for as a cinema actress. She's more like a television star. But her acting is definitely a plus in this movie. And just the atmosphere of the movie of having this kind of killer trying to come after her. She plays a twin, so I think the atmosphere of the movie really worked. And it's a good sign because I think a medium-sized movie of this scale, usually about a genre that maybe not be, you know, too much of a turnout for Korean audiences, but now because word of mouth, people are saying, oh, go watch this movie, it's pretty fun. It's doing really well right now, and I think it's going to break even in terms of like how much they invested in the movie. And hopefully this is a sign that not only will a big-scale movie like Hope do well, but like a medium-sized movie will do as well, if you just have compelling storytelling, you know, and a great cast. Yeah.
Right. It is very hard to do a remake and be successful with it, especially if it's cross-country as well. But in line with this momentum, the government has done all they can, or doing all they can, to actually revitalize the theatre market, right? Obviously, we want to go back to the theatres. Many of us do, anyway. Do you think this type of support will help sustain the recovery of the Korean film industry and theatres?
I think initially it has. I mean, my son ran up to me saying, you know, he wanted to watch a movie. and he was inspired by the coupon. So, and the data has suggested from the Korean Film Council that on a weekly basis, about 48% of the revenue's gone up in these sort of coupon, sort of enhanced sort of viewing experience. So it's to help people lessen the load of paying for tickets, and also help the the movie industry by having a lot more box office seats happening. But this alone is not going to really help it. I mean, I think they're going to release 2.4 million more coupons, but the government can't always hold the thing. I think it comes down to basically, again, really good, compelling storytelling, sort of a new approach to how movies are made, like Hope or The Eyes. And I think we need a new generation of Korean filmmakers. We have we have Bong Joon-ho, we have Park Chan-wook, Na Hong-jin is like sort of like a next generation of that. But I think we need to see like more directors, like the guy that did Backrooms is 20, and the guy that did Obsession in America is 26. So I want to see like 20-something Korean directors sort of making their debuts and sort of kind of changing cinema so that more audiences get turned on by sort of the alpha generation, maybe, and I think right now people have said the younger generation aren't going to see movies, but I think they're wrong. I think with enhanced internet and social media, I think the next big thing is watching movies alongside with your mobile phone.
Yeah, just quickly, so I just want to say that obviously one of the most anticipated films of the year in terms of the globe is Odyssey, and that was shot in complete IMAX cameras. It's kind of movies like that Korea should also be looking towards, I think, in my opinion, that will bring people to the theatre.
Right. And probably next time we're going to get to talk more about also the supportive measures from the government regarding the rest of the year in the cinema world. But for now, thank you very much, Professor Soh, for your insights, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
See you next week.